In the wake of a natural disaster, people often worry about the most vulnerable among us, children and the elderly. Well, surprisingly, they can sometimes be the most resilient in times of stress. Walt Grayson and Patty Davis bring us the stories of how young and old on the coast are finding strength in a variety of ways.
We recently visited with 3 families in Pass Christian whose homes were either heavily damaged or completely destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. Green spaces and parks like these are few and far between. Life has definitely changed for these kids on the coast.
Just playing in the yard with the glass and nails and splinters and things like that, snakes under just about everything, and so it's really limited where they're playing now. The FEMA trailer may be on a slab that's got all kind of debris still on it, so it's just real difficult.
You can go on the beach and play in the sand, but you can't swim in the water because there's stuff. Yeah, I used to go deep, but my mom keeps telling me to go over in the shallow. Sometimes we had to wear beach shoes, but it's okay, so we wouldn't have to get anything in the water and have our stuff in our feet.
There's not safe places for them to ride bikes. There's no playgrounds. There's no safe areas for them to go. So again, you know, if you look at the hierarchy of needs in this situation, we first have to provide our children and families with safe places. You know, and affordable housing is a #1 priority. Affordable, safe, permanent housing has to be in place right now before we start thinking about any other issues that these children and families have.
The Jenkins family and their relatives had 11 homes in Pass Christian before the storm. 10 of them were destroyed. And now most of the families are living in FEMA trailers or small one-room buildings. The kids have turned the slab of their former home into their playground of necessity.
I was on the slab and I slipped and I cut my knee open.
You okay? Did I hit you in your knee?
Everything's more aggravating to them. Everything's more difficult. They don't have their own space anymore.
It's pretty difficult because you're all crammed up and my sister's almost everywhere. Just one of my sisters are living in the same trailer, but my other one is living somewhere else, and my other one is living in another trailer.
You know, they're going from living in a home to living in very cramped quarters in a FEMA trailer. They're going from living with family to living with multi-families, you know, people that they weren't used to living with. So there's a lot of adjustment issues that kids are dealing with. So lots of things that they're not used to dealing with, they're having to deal with now.
But it's okay if you live in that trailer. That's where you have to live until you get your house fixed.
The Sanders family lost 2 homes to Katrina, but they were lucky enough to avoid FEMA trailer time. But the hurricane definitely had an impact on the kids.
It's the innocence and it's the joy. I mean, I don't think it's quite the same. You know, and I don't think, you know, you ever grow out of it. I think it's something that's like a scar that stays with you forever.
The first day that I dropped Kelly off at school, I went and started digging in the rubble because I knew whatever I could find, you know, whatever it was, I was going to get it. And Kelly called me that day. My little girl called me from school, and here I am, you know, sitting in the slab trying to get stuff out. And she said, "I just have to be near you. You have to please come get me and hug me." You know, and so there's a sense of insecurity that was never there before.
The Campbell home took on 8 feet of water during the hurricane. Today, they're back in their home, trying to find things to help keep the kids occupied.
I think that the more that they participate in helping, it's healing. So they go to their grandmothers and their aunts and their uncle's house to help out what they can. And number 1, it takes your mind off of it. And number 2, you know, it gives you just the joy for knowing that you've reached out and helped somebody.
But some people just want to keep on going instead of quit. Like my grandma's house, it's getting fixed.
Children mirror what adults in their lives are feeling and doing most of the time. Thus, we weren't surprised when kids told us what they wish for most of all.
To reverse it and have Katrina be gone. I would wish for everybody to be happy and everybody to have a house.
And the research indicates that kids are very resilient. You know, we need to keep an eye on it. We certainly need to be aware that some issues may come up for them. But again, I think for the most part, they're going to be okay.
For Beyond Katrina, I'm Walt Grayson.
Trees down there, some oak trees, and
Katrina survivor J.D. Gaucher has seen tough times before.
I came back from that death march. I wouldn't allow them to kill me. I wouldn't die on that death march. I wouldn't die in the prison camps. I was coming home.
Now home is this FEMA trailer he shares with his wife.
I said, you got me and I got you. We just start all over.
It's kind of late to start all over, but you have to do what you have to do.
They'd have to start from scratch.
Everything was gone, everything.
The real things that matter are not gone. We still have all our children, our grandchildren, and those were just things.
John and Avis Switzer share their sentiment.
We got damage. We had flood insurance. We got family. We didn't lose any of our family at all.
But it took days to learn everyone's fate. One son stayed at their house, sitting on the top step, watching the water come in.
The phone lasted that long, and the message on there was, Mom, Dad, I'm alive, come home, it's bad.
They dug into the damage and repaired their home.
We are both too old to move away from our family.
Mark Seymour didn't have flood insurance on his downstairs apartment where his daughter and grandson lived.
I feel real lucky because I can still work. If I wasn't working, didn't have any income, I'd be in bad shape with Social Security.
Now he won't be able to insure his lower level.
Now FEMA's coming back with new maps. They can show new elevations. When you start raising the elevations on all these retired people, then they can't afford it. They cannot afford to build up like that because it costs more to go up.
Eleanor Pauley is hoping to replace her Biloxi home. A neighbor watched a tornado tear it apart.
And he said it was hours before the water came that the tornado had come through.
Still, insurance isn't paying.
State Farm refused me saying that it wasn't a tornado. If I get any money from FEMA, I'm going to build me a house. If not, I guess I'll ask for a grant.
These days, she does her laundry in a shed behind her FEMA trailer. Retired fighter pilot Richard Breslin was one of the volunteer builders.
We've literally done everything from paint and touch-up to rebuild from the ground level up. Well, it's really been a very rewarding effort.
This part of his retirement has turned out a little different than planned. Instead of fishing, he's been working.
First time to fish was about 6 weeks ago, since August the 29th.
Dealing with storm damage, insurance, and an uncertain future can be difficult at times, but as these seniors say, they've just lost stuff, the bricks and mortar of their lives. As they turn the corner on their emotional recovery, they say they have their own way of coping.
No counseling, just between God and us and our family.
The Lord always looks out for me anyway. He's been good.
If you give up, you're not going to accomplish anything. You'd probably end up sleeping on the end of a bridge somewhere.
You have to have faith. I think God has a plan for each of us.
It's these people who have a faith, who are from a more traditional era, and they're so strong.
Strong enough to plan for the future.
And then I'm going to get my pier fixed back, and so I can go out there and fish.
For Beyond Katrina, I'm Patty Davis.